I do, yeah. I've just started the meeting, so. Morning, Councillor Chamberlain.
Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks.
That's good. All keeping well?
Yes, indeed, thank you, and I hope you are too.
Yeah, unfortunately, Robert Parkin,
Yeah.
our monitoring officer, unfortunately, he's had a positive COVID test late last week, so he's off this week.
Oh my goodness, it's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, my son had it as well. He's at university at Aston, and
my old university.
Oh right, okay.
But that was a long time ago.
Oh, he's doing politics and economics, which is a really good subject to be doing at the moment.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Absolutely.
He's in his first year, and so within like a couple of weeks, he'd managed to get COVID, but he's perfectly well now. But the university had to close down his particular block of halls of residence for 10 days. There was about 12 of them, I think.
Yeah.
Cold, yeah.
Our granddaughter is at Bristol, and she had it too. She's free now, but yeah, I mean, the kids are going to mix, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, there was a outbreak at Birmingham City University, which is literally over the road from his halls, and it's kind of. As soon as I heard that, it was a certainty.
Yeah. Do they still have those paternoster lifts at Aston?
Oh, I don't know. I only took him up there.
It was most amazing. The lift, they never stopped. So you just jumped in, and they kept going, and they would go around the bottom and up and it was just a great big loop.
All right, okay.
You could never get when you wanted to go down. Of course, everyone else wanted to. And although it was banned, we used to hop on the up one, go round the top, see all the workings of the thing, and then back down the other side. I got into loads.
I'll look out for that next time.
Amazing. I've no idea whether they're still there. I should, because they had no doors on them. I would imagine health and safety's got to grips with it.
Exactly.
Probably
I think they've probably been closed down now as a result of that.
Yeah. But you see, that would have been late 60s, early 70s. So it's a long time ago. Blimey. God, yeah.
What did you study there then?
Business studies and then accountancy.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, kept me off street corners for a working career. Did a good job by me, and of course we lived in Birmingham at the time.
All right, okay. Oh, so it was your local university, yeah.
I couldn't afford to stay away. My parents.
Yeah.
I was brought up with my grandmother, and she had no money.
Yeah.
Question of, going each day as required.
Yeah.
So I used to get on a number 64 bus from Six Ways in Erdington to Aston and jump off outside at Gloucester Green.
Yeah, it's quite a nice located university, isn't it? It's very close to the city centre.
City centre, yeah, absolutely. All the bright lights are there.
Yeah. If they were allowed to use the bright lights.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, my son then went to Birmingham University, and I still reckon I've got shares in the junior common room and the amount of booze he bought there. Yeah, I was brought up in Birmingham, so I know it well.
Okay, yeah.
My first
I never guessed it from your accent.
Sorry about that. That's my daughter ringing up. My first job was at Tubes Limited in Rocky Lane in Aston, which is now long gone.
Yeah.
Morning.
It's all flattened now, and houses and car showrooms and all sorts on the land that it was.
Yeah.
And the old factory is completely destroyed, as is so much of Birmingham.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, always the iconic thing was always the Dunlop factory, which is now a Travelodge, isn't it?
Yeah, Fort Dunlop.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can remember Spaghetti Junction being built.
Can you?
Yeah, I used to cycle in before it was there. Yeah, the Aston Expressway didn't exist. Yeah, good. We had some good times.
Yeah, good.
Rob, are we recording this?
No, we don't start. Well, it is being recorded, but it's not being broadcast. So it's broadcast when I touch an orange button on the screen. Hence why I'm wearing an orange tie, and then that reminds me.
Morning, Peter.
Morning.
Morning.
No, is it just South Cambridge so far?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Oh, that'll suit us fine. Not sure if I'm still here or not. Can you hear me?
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, good. I've lost my screen. Ah, there we are. Nope, gone again.
Good to see you again, Councillor Miss Scanlon.
Not sure Alex can hear us. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Morning, Alex.
Good morning.
This is getting very worrying. I'm getting efficient with this Zoom stuff, and I'm now able to have the agenda on one side and the images on the other. It's frightening. Never used to be able to do this. Life is very sad.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Tricia.
One, two, three, four, 5. 50% attendance rate so far. Patricia, I might have the same problems as you today. I've been having massive internet problems all weekend, so I'm going to start with video and see how I get on. But
okay, I can't put mine on my iPad because my other device has died, and I can't put my hand up.
okay,
So I'm going to let you know that I have got some questions
right.
about the business and skills report. Just some clarifications. Just so
okay.
you basically that. And can I comment, because I wasn't here, and I'm sorry Mike Humphreys didn't come as a substitute. I thought he was, and I apologise for that in advance. Can I make a comment on the last month's minutes?
I guess it depends what it is. We take them for accuracy rather than anything else. What was it you wanted to raise?
Oh no, it was only because Baroness Brown came to the meeting, and I have a resident who is very often sends me emails about climate change.
You sent a load of questions, didn't you, through? And we did ask her.
Yeah. And he was very happy with that. But I think he was quite concerned that given that they were reported as being outside the remit of her position, he was wondering how you take them forward. And that was a question he asked me, because he was concerned about that. You can ask the questions, but if she hasn't got the power, I suppose, to do anything, I said to him, that's not her fault. That is the remit that she has to work within. And I said to him, just keep on asking questions. Ask them to us, to your county councillor, to your MP as well.
Yeah.
And that's the best I felt was the best answer to give him. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's all good then.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
But no, I'll come to you deliberately on item 5 because you said you've got questions.
That's kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I'll come to you straight away, and I appreciate it's difficult on some devices doing the raised hand and all of
Yeah.
that. So.
Yeah. But you don't want to keep interrupting people, do you, when they're talking, and that it's very difficult.
It is, yeah. But we're all getting the hang of Zoom, aren't we? I think one way or another. As long as
our district council's just gone over to Zoom.
Yes. What was it on before?
They want Teams.
Oh, grief! Right, okay.
Yes.
Said soonest mended on that, I think.
Yeah.
Morning, members.
Morning.
Good morning, Rochelle. Good morning again. In between talking to you, Rochelle, and Anne and Robert, and coming into this meeting, I have got my other half in to test the broadband speed and everything on my laptop, and apparently it's all tip-top and tickety-boo. So
that's fantastic news.
Yes, it is. The trouble is there's a huge gulf between theory and practice. So we shall see how.
Believe that, Lorna, you'll believe anything.
But technically there shouldn't be a problem, which makes working out why there is a problem less easy. So
that's the day we rely on divine intervention then.
Something like that. It's like when you go to the doctor and you say, "Doctor, I'm really not feeling very well," and they put you through all these tests, and then they say, "Well, we found nothing wrong." And you go, "That's not the answer I wanted. I wanted you to find something wrong, but I wanted to know what it was."
It's
morning,
when
Alan.
you go. When you go there and the person goes.
Yeah, it's a kind of car mechanic teeth, isn't it? It's kind of...
Yeah.
and
the plumber and the electrician.
Yeah, they've all got it, haven't they? The kind of sucking of teeth.
Morning, Alan.
Morning.
I see we've got chat enabled. Thank you for your good morning, Rochelle. Are we going to have chat enabled for the meeting itself?
We do. We always have chat enabled.
Okay.
So members are obviously given the opportunity to chat, but the guidance sort of states, you know, you be careful what you chat, because there have been instances where members of the Welsh Parliament, I believe, got into trouble for putting inappropriate things on a Zoom chat. So
Good grief.
you kind of use it for business purposes only.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Morning, Anne.
Morning.
Morning, Anne.
8. Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Ed. So that we're now 8.
Good morning. Yeah, Peterborough have taken down the chat on their meetings as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't need to. People just needed to behave.
We have chat on East Cambridgeshire District Council, but only for points of order and things like that, because it's a very fractious council. Cambridgeshire County Council doesn't have chat. So we are too short of a quorum. We know that Mike Davey, who is replacing Kevin Price, is going to be here from Cambridge, because he was asking for the link, wasn't he?
Good.
So we haven't got Jocelyn.
Shall I remind her?
Might be an idea. I mean, I did, as I said I would at when we were at last month's meeting, I did say that I would send out an email, which I did, to try to
Yes, thank you for that.
cover some of the issues off.
Do we have to be quorate for the pre-meeting?
We don't, no, and it's now 10:01, so I'm inclined to start in on the pre-meeting. I'm just getting my papers up on this.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Now we've only got one additional paper to the document bundle, haven't we? Which is the CAM Metro Task and Finish update.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So can I just take a quick note of who we are expecting? We haven't got Andy yet. That's unusual. We haven't got Steve Corney. We haven't got Marcus. We haven't got
Dave
Jocelyn.
Connor.
Dave Connor has said he's going to be on site visits this morning, which presumably he knew about, that there was going to be a clash in the diary, but hey ho. We're expecting Mike Davey. We haven't got Jocelyn yet, and that's going to be it. So yeah, right. Okay, shall we fire away then with the pre-meeting? If Anne, could you just confirm who the apologies are going to be?
We have.
Oh, we've got Mike. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, apologies for lateness.
So we've had apologies from Councillor Mason, who is being substituted by Councillor Miss Candlon, who we do have.
Yep.
And Councillor Connor.
Yes, he was unsubstituted at the moment.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we now have a quorum, although a rather rickety quorum. So, with all due respect, so nobody move. Right. Okay. So then we'll take the roll call. You'll take that, Anne. Yes. Yep. Declarations of interest, if anybody has any. At item, whatever it is, 2. Then we have the election of vice chair. So I'll be calling for nominations for that. In the event that we have one nomination, that's fairly straightforward. In the event that we have none, then we'll have a series of Paddington hard stares until someone comes forward. And then if we have more than one nomination, we will have an election, not sadly by single transferable vote, but simply by straightforward roll call And if there is a draw, Anne has come prepared with a coin to toss. So marvellous. Then we'll have the minutes of the previous meeting, and that's just for accuracy, although I will allow Patricia to say something because she wasn't at the last meeting, but she wanted to raise something arising from the minutes in Baroness Brown's presentation, and I will give her latitude to do that. Public questions. We've not received any, I don't think. No. Director of Business and Skills, we'll have John T. Hill with us, and I'm assuming you'll have read the reports and have got some questions. I know I've got a number of questions arising out of that report. Now we're going to need to reverse items 6 and 7 because Noel isn't going to be able to be with us for the first half of the meeting. So we're going to take Community Land Trusts first, which will be Emily Mulvaney's presentation, and then we will have Noel on digital connectivity. Cam Metro Task and Finish Group is in need of new members and also in need now of a new chair following the resignation of Councillor Price from Cambridge City Council. So I don't know whether we have any volunteers either to join the group or to be its chair, but we will take that under the same arrangements as I outlined above for the election of the vice chair of the committee.
Lorna, just to indicate, I'd be happy to join the group, but I think it'd probably be, I'm not sure it'd be right for me to be just marching and become the chair, if that makes any kind of sense.
That's what I did with this committee, but hey ho. Yeah, no, okay. Point taken, and thank you very much, Mike. I think it would be very useful to have a well stocked committee, work task and finish group of people. I don't think there's an ideal number, but I think if we have enough that if there are one or two apologies, it can still function.
I think if I can come in, Lorna, I think, sorry.
Alan.
Yeah, we do need more members. We had a meeting last week and obviously Kevin had sadly resigned and Jocelyn couldn't make it. So it was just Marcus and myself plus Robert and a couple of officers. So we do need a bigger membership, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, if people would like to.
Who do I approach, Alan? Could you tell me who I approach then? Just let them know that I'll be joining them. Is it Marcus or yourself?
Well, Robert.
Robert. Okay.
Robert runs it. So at the moment, I think we're down to the membership of Marcus, myself, Jocelyn, and now yourself, because Pippa was on it. I know Peter has come. I think came once to substitute for Pippa.
Yeah.
I recall, but
yes. Well, it's Marcus.
Anyway.
Marcus, Alan, and Jocelyn at the moment.
I don't think I'm currently on that. Although Pippa's dropped off, but if it helps, I'd be happy to join it along with Mike. But similarly, obviously not appropriate for me to take on the chair at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good to have a reasonable geographic spread as well, because we've got 2 members from Cambridge, although not representing Cambridge, but from the city of Cambridge at the moment, and 1 from East Cambridgeshire. It might be good to have a South Cambridgeshire member and possibly even a Huntingdonshire member. I mean, we don't have to have strict geographical spread, but it would be good to ensure that there was some diversity among the membership of that group. So yeah, excellent. And then as I understand it, the group elects its own chair. That's what the report says at 3.2. So once we have a membership for that group, then at its first meeting under its new membership, it can then determine who its chair is going to be. Then we have the forward plan for the combined authority. We have our meeting of lead members on the 2nd of November. But there's no board meeting this month, so we don't need to formulate any questions. And so I think that we don't need to talk at any great length about the forward plan today. Then there's our own work programme. Good morning, Jocelyn. Then there's our own work programme. Now there's quite a busy December there. So one of the options might be to look at moving some of the contents around there. I think the option to keep everything as it is leads to a very busy December, and I'm not sure people are going to be up for a long meeting in December. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I think having horizon scanning, budget, CAM Metro, Mayor, transport and infrastructure, delivery and strategy, project register, and SPV scrutiny might be a bit much for us all with our Christmas heads on. So I don't know whether we have any thoughts or any advice about which things to move, but I think the mayor and transport chair are the same person. So I think we need that. We need the budget in there constitutionally. Horizon scanning is a twice a year thing, and I think it's good to have that where it is. Do we want to look at moving the Director of Delivery and Strategy into January?
Just to let you know, Paul Rains will be there to support the mayor as the transport and infrastructure chair anyway in December.
True.
So he's perfectly happy to be shifted.
Right. Okay. Does that mean if he's shifted, he comes twice?
Well, he doesn't. He's not coming in his role as Director of Delivery and Strategy. He's just going to be there as the responsible officer for the Transport and Infrastructure Committee, just to support the mayor on that particular day.
Fully understood, but that does mean he has to tip up to 2 sequential meetings of the overview and the committee.
Yeah, I mean, January we've also got the housing and the chair of housing and community, so maybe Paul could be shifted to February, because then we'd have 2 directors.
That looks sensible. February is a fallow month. It's got the bus review, task and finish group, and not much else at the moment on there.
But Chair, we get the climate committee again in February, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. But even so, in a fallow month, having the bus review and the climate work, I don't see that putting delivery and strategy there would be a problem in a fallow month where we're not considering a board agenda in any detail. Does that seem a reasonable suggestion to reduce the load in December?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think I would agree with it as well.
Okay, so that means we would have Paul then in December and February.
And that's feasible.
And that doesn't seem unreasonable, does it?
No.
After all, he's paid a lot more than any of us to do this, isn't he? So there you go. There's nothing time critical about the delivery and strategy visit to us, is there?
No, I believe it's just an update. It's just an update.
I don't think there's anything on the work programme which means we have to see Paul before February. And if there's anything time critical in terms of delivery and strategy in December, we can ask the mayor anyway, because that's his job too. So yeah, okay. So that's the suggestion then, that we move delivery and strategy to February. Then our next meeting is on the 23rd of November. Can I skip back a bit, as we seem to have cantered through that? We have the answers to the questions that we put from our last meeting appended to the minutes. I have to say I was somewhat disappointed by some of those, and I don't know whether anybody else had any comments on the answers to the questions that we put. I mean, I think the first question, 1.6, about the representations being made about the quoracy of overview and scrutiny, the answer starts off, we're not aware of any representations having been made. Well, I mean, members of this committee who were on this committee 9 or 12 months ago will remember that we asked on more than one occasion for the chief executive to take this up as an issue. And it's very disappointing to see that in those 9 or 12 months, nothing was done until we put the question this time and Audit and Governance raised it as an issue under the Constitution. So I do think that's quite disappointing.
Yeah, we certainly discussed it with officers. Whether we were making representations could be open to interpretation, but it shouldn't be. We discussed it with officers, and Kim indeed went through it at length with us on several occasions. We discussed.
Yeah.
I remember we clearly did.
We talked about, at that time, we talked about virtual meetings and whether we could get around it that way. And,
and here we are.
Things about getting extra subs as well. So certainly discussions were had.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we certainly did ask them to take it up with government.
Yes,
we did. We did.
As if they've not done anything until is it the corporate governance?
Audit and governance.
Audit and governance have come back. Seems as if they're more important than us.
Yeah, well, I mean, governance is their responsibility, but we were making the point about our governance, and that's our responsibility to make sure that if there are issues, we raise them. And I'm really disappointed with that, and I'm inclined to, on the back of the minutes and the answers appended to the minutes, to actually go back to the board and say to the board, look, we did raise this quite clearly, and we are disappointed that nothing happened. I mean, I don't know whether that's pushing a point.
That's fine.
You could add, Lorna, that at the time there seemed to be no reaction from the board, and you'd like this clarified.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've certainly been raising this for probably the best part ever since the committee was instituted, going back 4 years now. With the quoracy, because we've had issues quite often about, worry until the start of the meeting whether we're going to be quorate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Just to confirm, the letter has now been sent to the minister from the Combined Authority Board, the one that yourself and John Pye, as Chair of Audit and Governance, approved.
Great. Okay. And I'm sure you'll let us know if and when there's a reply to that. Yeah. What about the other answers? Did anybody have any issue with any of the other answers? I mean, we were asking about transparency and so on, and this is particularly with regard to the CAM task and finish group and the bus group. Do you feel, members of those groups, that your concerns about transparency and openness were satisfactorily addressed in the answers we got?
I do feel that they kind of sometimes put the onus back on us. Like, we would encourage them to consider the powers they already have. Well, if we're asking a question, surely it should be answered very plainly. I feel all the time when I read the replies that they're either trying to justify themselves or put it back on us. That's my personal take on the reading of some of the answers.
Yeah. On the master plans, so your question was answered, Anne, that there will be Chatteris.
Yeah. Sorry, Chair, I had raised my hand. I'm not sure. Are we using the blue hands?
Sorry, I've got two overlapping panes here, so I couldn't see your raised hand, Marcus. I do apologise. Go for it.
No, I think this is a very key and crucial point. Right? They are saying the business board in the majority has only confidential items. Well, we can't see that. And I'm not certain from the minutes that I would agree that things like the business strategy and the overall plans have to necessarily be confidential. So to say the annual meeting of the business board is open to the public, in my view, is not good enough. I also think that the fact that we have to make wild guesses rather than having information provided to us by officers is unacceptable. I'm not sure what the strategy there is. As members of the Task and Finish group, we were first told in July that there was nothing to report, and then we were told in September and October that so much had happened, it couldn't possibly be all reported to us. I mean, somewhere, I feel we're either not being told or the necessary level of transparency within the governance structure is just not being provided. And keep in mind, we all have a duty towards the combined authority. It's not like we're some alien group of councillors, but we are treated by this mayor and his administration like the hostile group. I find that unacceptable.
Okay. Mike.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Minor point, Marcus, your sound is distorting. So we're getting, it's going a bit haywire.
Too loud.
It's too loud, so we can't hear. It's too loud, your sound. So
it's better?
No. But Lorna, to go back to your point, in the conversation you had with, following on from Marcus's point, in the conversation you had with John Pye, did John indicate that there was a role for the Audit and Governance to go back and review the business board again?
No.
I sit on the Audit and Governance board. Would you like me to take that back to John Pye and say we need to look at it again?
It's something we might want to consider. Can we pick that up under the minutes, because all these questions and answers fall out from the minutes of the meeting? So if we pick that up under item 3, then we can get you can get, as it were, the authorization of the committee to go away and do that.
It's just the reason I ask is it just sounds like more of an Audit and Governance issue than a scrutiny issue, if I'm honest.
Yes, to an extent, yes. And it's sometimes difficult to work out where the responsibility sits, but yes, I sort of agree. But I think if you can formally get the blessing of the committee to go away and do that this morning, that would be quite helpful. Market Town's investment prospectus, Anne, you and others have expressed previously concerns about this process in terms of your input not having been particularly taken up in respect of the development of the master plans. Have you been satisfied with your engagement in putting together the project proposals?
In actual fact, yes, I have been satisfied. Officers from Fenland all along the way have come to us. What we weren't very satisfied with was the consultants, because it was the consultants that we felt weren't listening. They were going down their own road, so to speak.
Yeah, but the project proposal development has been fine as far as you're concerned.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Right. Okay. Is there anything else on the questions and answers that anybody thinks we should be raising?
You have 2 blue hands up.
I have 2 blue hands, yes. Jocelyn and then Ed.
Yes, thank you. I actually just wanted to comment on, now Councillor Gearing said that it appears that the authority is treating us, that is the Scrutiny Committee, as if we're hostile. I would say more that it's an issue of a deficit of democracy. I know that in some quarters, democracy is not relevant at the present time. It seems to be on the wane, but there's no reason why we ought to conform to a notion that we're irrelevant because we're a democratically elected group. And I think this is what's happening. It seems to me that the combined authority is operating as a business without even really scrutiny of a well, the board is supposed to be scrutinising, but we're supposed to be a specialist scrutiny body, and we're not being regarded as a legitimate part of the operation. I think that's what the problem seems to be, and the message needs to get put through to the combined authority mayor, but also to the board itself, that we have a relevant role and our role is scrutiny, and that role is essential, as I absolutely agree with Councillor Gearing on this point, that it's not only a responsibility in terms of our own conduct, but it's a measure that the combined authority requires, because it needs a scrutiny body for it to operate properly. So I just wanted to make that point, that it's really that this body, the combined authority, is operating as a private business, and it isn't. It's actually a democratically elected institution that has to operate democratically, and a part of that democracy is scrutiny by a body that itself is a democratically elected body. Each of us is democratically elected, and that's what this is about. I do think it's about the retreat from democracy, but that's the point that I wish to make, and I do make it extremely strongly. This is not a business.
Okay, thank you very much, Jocelyn. Ed.
Yeah, just while I'm here, Marcus, your sound is very, very difficult. People will not want to hear you unless you can sort it. It could be that you've got some other IT running. It's a bit Dalek-y and it doesn't sound good. So try and reboot or something to sort it out. On the issue we've been talking about, I think it probably is time for an informal review of our relationship with the board and its committees, because we're a critical friend. We're supposed to work complementary, and the relationship between our chair, yourself, and the board is particularly important. And I think there needs to be more respect for the chair of scrutiny there. We're not an opposition committee. We're complementary. On the business board stuff, as part of my induction, I did an awful lot of research. There are some that do meet in public. At Peterborough Council last week, there was a motion on this particular item, unusual. There wasn't a debate because the guillotine's down, but there were 25, 26, 28 members voted for the council to contact the combined authority to sort it out and make it more open. I've read the response and I've read the papers today. I'm just wondering whether informally some of these things could be sorted out. Like I say, we don't on the board seeing scrutiny as an opposition. We can actually provide evidence and provide pointers and improve the delivery of this delivery program in many places, and there's probably some evidence of that. So that's all I wanted to say, really. We're going to go through the papers later on that, I know.
Okay, thanks very much, Ed. Anne.
It's just, I noticed the bus review task and finish group is coming in February. So I want to make sure that we actually have a meeting, that is the working group, with officers from the combined authority prior to then.
Right, okay. That's sensible. So you need a meeting probably January at some point then?
Yes, I would say so. And also, I'd like to know when it's going to go before the combined authority board, because obviously we need to be giving our input prior to it going to the board. I've had a look on their forward plan and it only goes up to November, so I'm not sure when they're planning on putting it to the board.
Right, okay. I thought the buses were on there, but...
Well, unless I've missed it, I looked through quickly and I couldn't see it.
No, and I'm entirely sure you're right, but let's have a look. I think you're right. I can't at the moment see it on there either. So That's not terribly helpful. Yeah, okay. Well, if you raise that when it comes to our work program, that we need to program in a meeting of the the bus review working group, and we can then ask officers to come back to us with some indication of what the line of progress is for that. Good. Okay. Alex.
Thank you, Lorna. I've been involved with, ever since I became a councillor, with overview and scrutiny and taken many hours of reading papers. I think the problem arises that people don't, and Ed was quite right, we are a critical friend. And this needs to be got over to officers, board members, and other organisations. We are a critical friend, and we do need to be listened to, because in my time sitting as chairman, vice chairman, member of ONS at various councils, I think that it needs to be reiterated to them. We're not there to criticise them. Unfortunately, some people at some time or other make it a political issue. This gets people's backs up and then makes it an antagonistic discussion between that member and the board member and officers. And that needs to stop. Critical friend is a critical friend, and you must listen to it. It's like you're in your own personal life. Your best friend can be your biggest critic, but you must understand that they're there to help you, and officers need to understand we're there to help them as they are there to help us. And that needs to be reiterated to everybody.
Yes, I have to say I was quite disappointed at the last board meeting when I raised the questions that this committee had carefully crafted and agreed by consensus, that when I asked one of them, the response from the mayor was that there must be an election coming. And I had to be very clear that my role is simply to present to the board the questions that we all, as a politically balanced committee, agree should be presented to the board. And I had to remind him that that was my remit, and it was given by you, and it was nothing to do with me or elections or anything else. You know, you're right that there does need to be respect for this committee as a committee.
Exactly, and that needs to be brought to the attention of everybody, including all the board members here, and including the board members of the CPCA and other authorities. We're not there to drag them through the mud and castigate them at every turn. We're there to help them by discussing issues that are about our members and are about our constituents, and getting them sorted out correctly. And this is fundamental. And to make it a political issue on this committee is totally and utterly wrong.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Peter.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to go back to the question of transparency of the business board. I think I share concerns that others have already expressed. In particular, the response that the business board responds to the combined authority board, and that this deals with transparency. I wonder whether that deals with transparency in relation to this committee. There may be times when it doesn't. Now, one of the differences, and this may have come up in the research that Councillor Murphy mentioned earlier on, is that this is originally a business board. I'm not quite sure to what extent it follows the same rules as LEPs elsewhere, and whether there are lessons to be learned in how LEPs handle this, where that's relevant. Obviously, not every LEP responds in the same way to a combined authority.
Yeah, I think we are unusual in our setup, aren't we, with the combined authority having taken over the LEP. And I have to say, from my vague memories of the LEP before it was taken over, I'm not aware of it being a terribly open or transparent organisation either. But
definitely not.
Yeah, so it's not just me then. Okay. Yeah, Ed, I was just coming to you.
We're not public. I mean, as part of, I did some research, and I spoke to the former chief executive of the LEP over many years, and I've got background information, etc., etc. Yeah, we need to be minded about what happened with the local enterprise partnership that was down in Alconbury and the rows about where it should be originally, etc., etc. And I think what we've got is part of the legacy of that. And there are people employed there and so on and so forth. We just need to be aware of that, and I need to be careful if I talk about it in public. But yeah, fair point. We've got what we've got, and let's just be aware of that, and let the board be aware of that, and sort out the transparency now for the future in an appropriate way.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a couple of answers to those questions that we want to pick up on when we discuss the minutes. I don't want to reopen whole long debates about this under what is effectively a receiving the minutes item, but yeah. I do think that there are a couple of issues there that we need to pick up on. Certainly the quoracy and the disappointment at how that was handled or not handled for our previous representations, and also the transparency, particularly when it comes to the business board, but also the the way in which the legitimate engagement of the task and finish groups is dealt with, and the way in which we as a committee are respected constitutionally for the role that we play. Okay, is there, Peter, do you need to lower your legacy hand? Is there anything else we need to run through before the meeting proper starts at 11 o'clock, or are we content to go away, make a coffee, have a comfort break or whatever?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry, hang on. I was just wondering, there's a few things there. Look, some combined authorities are taking the lead on issues about poverty and food poverty over a number of years, or taking a role, and I know ours was looking at that as well. Some have jumped on the sexy issue at the moment about school meals at Christmas and now, etc., etc. So I'm just raising that in case anybody wanted to, maybe you could ask at the next board meeting what the combined authority doing. It's a bit patchy in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. We seem to have got about 90% coverage in Peterborough at the moment through local businesses, and the local authority are thinking about kicking in their own voucher scheme, but I don't know what's happening at the rest of the authority. It's not big money. I'm wondering whether we wanted to, as a friend, ask the combined authority to try and coordinate something on this.
Right, my feeling is, as the next board meeting is not until the end of November, things will be either very sorted by then or they will very not, in which case our next meeting may well be the one at which we may wish to pick up any residual issues. So let's bear that in mind, shall we, for November. Obviously it's too late now for half term, but by then we should have a good idea of what the government has decided to do, what local authorities in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough area have decided to do, and how that's moving forward. So, but yes, it's a good point. I note that we've got apologies from Jocelyn for the main meeting. Can I remind members, all of us, that if we are unable to attend the meeting, then having a substitute in place, please, is a useful thing to do. We are, I think, okay at the moment, because I think, and 13 members present at the moment. So if Jocelyn leaves us, that will leave us with 12, which means we're still quorate. Yes. I'm intending not to allow this meeting, by the way, to run on until past 1 o'clock, and I'm hoping to time it to end before 1, just for everybody's convenience. Is that all right for everybody else?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You've got a heads up on vice chair.
I'm sorry?
Have you got a heads up on vice chair whether there's going to be a vote or not?
I haven't had any news on vice chair nominations.
Okay.
Whatsoever.
You're going to press somebody in now
at the moment. I'm sorry, Ed.
Are you going to try and press somebody in now? Sometimes if you don't attend a meeting, you end up getting elected to something, Jocelyn.
Right, this is true. Yes. I mean, is anybody going to be putting their name forward as vice chair of the committee out of interest? Because if not, we're going to have a bit of a problem.
Marcus has got his hand up.
Oh, yeah, I think
that's
was
on a different point. Is my sound better?
Are you sure?
Yes, your sound is better, Marcus.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
But yes, I put your hand down
apologize.
quickly if I were you, unless you want to find yourself as vice chair.
No, I wanted to endorse the nomination of Councillor Scott because I think to be honest, I would vote for Mike, but I think it's quite important to have a bit of legacy knowledge for this quite difficult committee, and knowing what the debates were a year ago definitely helps in order to present even just our questions to the board. So and unless Councillor Murphy volunteers, I think we have a vice chair in Councillor Scott.
My concern about that is that Councillor Scott is a very busy woman and has lots of other commitments. Jocelyn, how do you feel?
I expect I would be able to take it on this week. It's really unusual because I'm standing in for somebody else. And the problem, I mean, I actually really could be present at this meeting and present at the other one too, because one can do 2 meetings at the same time. But I don't think, of course, that that's a wise thing or a fair thing to do. But I guess that if there's nobody else putting themselves forward, then yes, I'd be prepared to take it on. And in making that commitment, I would, of course, be prepared to make sure that I could be present. Yeah, I mean, I have been present at the vast majority of meetings, if not all of them, I think. It's just that on this occasion, I have this other seminar that I've really just got, it's all this week, and it's a week thing. That's the difficulty. But if others are satisfied with that commitment, then yes, I would take it on. But I see that Councillor Chamberlain has his hand raised.
Yes, I was just about to come to Councillor Chamberlain. Grenville.
Thank you.
Chair, could I just ask Jocelyn to give us an assurance that she won't have to leave part way through a meeting in future and leave us in a situation where we have to terminate a meeting because we've become unquorate? Thank you.
Well, with respect, it's not part way through a meeting, Councillor Chamberlain. This was the pre-meet, and then there is the regular meeting from which I've given in relation to which I've given my apology with great regret and sincere regret in that regard.
Chair, if I might come back on that, unless my memory serves me incorrectly, there was an occasion a couple of meetings ago when you had to terminate a meeting because Councillor Scott left the meeting and we were not quorate.
There was an occasion a couple of meetings ago where I recall rushing through the last 5 items in 5 minutes in order to ensure that we finished by 1 p.m. in order to release Councillor Scott to her next engagement. But we did manage to do that. But just again, a general point for all of us that if we cannot attend the whole of a meeting, then it is important that we engage early with our substitute members. That's what they're there for. And if we know we have a conflict of meetings, then we need to decide to contact our substitutes and say, please, can you carry out the whole of the meeting on my behalf? That's why we have them. That's what they're there for. So if we could do that, that would be very helpful. I don't know whether that was made more difficult in the case of Cambridge by the fact that we had the sudden resignation of Councillor Price, and presumably they're sorting or have sorted out their representation to this body. Oh no, Councillor Scott, you're a Cambridgeshire County Council nominee, aren't you? So you're not affected by.
Well, I really must make this point. If Councillor Chamberlain is dissatisfied with my becoming the deputy chair, then I shan't become the deputy chair. There is no way in which I would wish to put myself in a position where other members of the committee are dissatisfied or uncomfortable or in any way discombobulated. So I withdraw from the proposition that I become the deputy chair, and somebody else will have to take it up. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, thank you, Jocelyn. I maybe you'll be able to reconsider that, although I understand you have to leave us for a seminar. So is that you leaving, you needing to leave now or at,
No.
at 11?
11.
Right, okay, right. I mean, I think it's more a question about ensuring that we are either substituted or that we spot clashes in our diary early and do our best to resolve them, to either prioritize this meeting or to get a substitute in place.
If I could just say, emergency situations arise for every single human being on this planet. And there are circumstances under which one does agree to do something that is a conflict with something else because somebody is in an extremist situation. And that's what has occurred on this occasion. And I really have to say that with the strongest emphasis in circumstances where we are in a position of this COVID-19, which is impacting on people in a most horrible way. I've actually got a colleague whose mother just died in the United States. She's here in the United Kingdom and it's impossible for her to get to her mother, to get to her family and to be there before her mother died. Now, I know that there are other people in this distressing situation, and I really think it's abominable that anyone should be put in a position of feeling responsible or somehow guilty because they're actually standing in for somebody who's in a state of distress. I really find that unforgivable. I mean, honestly, you know, there are people dying right, left and centre in this country and in the United States. 220,000 people are dead. And that actually matters. And those of us who are human beings and who have human souls and compassion actually then stand in an emergency for people who are in distress. And I actually make no excuse whatsoever for the action that I've taken. I apologise to the committee. I apologise sincerely to every single member on it and every single officer who is involved with this committee. But I'm in a position where that's the decision that I have made. And I believe it is the responsible decision to have made.
Thank you very much, Jocelyn. Jocelyn, as you're not going to be in the main meeting for reasons that you've explained, would you like your name to go forward as vice chair of the committee because you won't be there to be able to be asked at the time?
Well, I am unhappy if it goes forward in circumstances where people are dissatisfied. If people are not dissatisfied, then I am happy to go ahead and take on that role. But if there's somebody else who really wants to take on the role, I certainly shan't stand in their way.
Thank you very much, Jocelyn. I've got Andy wishing to speak and then Patricia. I've seen Patricia's hand after Andy. Andy.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to say, if an alternative is needed, I'm prepared to be an alternative to stand for the position if necessary.
Thank you very much, Andy. One of the issues we have discussed with this, however, is that there is a requirement for the chair to not be of the same political persuasion as the mayor. There is no such requirement for the vice chair, I've been advised, but if the vice chair has to step up to be chair of the meeting for any reason, which is, after all, why we need a vice chair, then that might prove a difficulty. I'm not quite sure whether that makes it practical or not, but I'm certainly happy to take that offer in the spirit in which it's given, and for the committee then to make up its own mind how it wishes to proceed between the two people who have put themselves forward with those reservations, as it were. Patricia, I want to draw this to a close because I'd like to give people a 10-minute comfort break, but Patricia.
Yeah, no, it was just very quick that I agree completely with what Jocelyn said. You know, we are all human and things do come up. We all try. I myself feel very guilty that my substitute didn't join in last month. I'd asked them to, but I don't know the reason why they didn't. But I agree with what Jocelyn, and I'd be quite happy for Jocelyn to be chair.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that we all keep each other and Robert and Anne informed of what we're doing is
definitely
really, yeah. Okay, brilliant. So Right, I'll give people a 10-minute comfort break, then we'll say goodbye to Jocelyn and thank you for attending the pre-meeting, Jocelyn. And don't leave the meeting, just switch off your audio and video and see you in less than 10 minutes, please, if you check in nice and early. Thank you.
Chair? Oh.
Marcus, yes?
Yes, Lorna, might it be worth checking with the monitoring officers? Because I think there's a real constitutional problem electing someone who's from the same party as the mayor as vice chair. It's not just a practical problem, it's a constitutional problem in my view.
I don't think it is a constitutional problem. I've had that discussion briefly, but I have had a discussion involving Rochelle, who's with us today, for legal and governance advice. But I'm very happy to ask Rochelle to explain the situation in the meeting if that arises.
And perhaps I'll just say good morning, councillors, Councillor Gehring. There is no prohibition on in our constitution, or in fact the order for the appointments of members of overview and scrutiny. The only prohibition is on the chair, who has to be, of course, from an appropriate party. But otherwise there isn't.
Okay.
Okay, and
Marcus?
it doesn't render a meeting that is chaired by the vice chair invalid or that couldn't be challenged on constitutional grounds. And you're absolutely certain about that.
In fact, specifically, if there was an issue that arose and we'd have to deal with it at that point, there would be mechanisms in place to deal with it. But certainly there is no prohibition.
Could we have that in writing, please?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Sure. Cool.
Okay. Thanks very much. See you in 5 minutes or so.